Paul George, or Podcast P, as he's now known, was once Playoff P, and then Way Off P. Pandemic P was interesting, but now it's Podcast P, and there is some backlash here. And this is the problem when it comes to player podcasts. Just like when Draymond Green started up the podcast after Superman punching his teammate. After he did that, he's still booting up the podcast. Man, what was the game where he literally went and got ejected? He's gotten ejected from games and then booted up the podcast that night. And the running joke is like, oh, you know, he's getting ejected from these games, but he's doing it so that he can get more he could make the podcast earlier. And it's like, you think, yeah, there's no way that's happening. But at this stage, I don't know. And if you guys agree, subscribe. We are at 4.2 thousand subscribers. If we can get 4.3, which is like 13 off by the end of the day, that'd be insane. But still, we have got PG right here. And this, players only meeting, what's next for the Sixers? While all the shit's going down. Everything's going down. We've got Paul George out here talking about the players only meeting. Like, he's there talking about a situation with the team. You've got Joel Embiid, who's out here trying to hunt the snitch like he's Harry Potter. You've got Jared McCain, doing TikTok dances. And now you've got Paul George doing a podcast while injured and your team's having a downfall. And I don't know. Like, what are we meant to do? What are we meant to do in this scenario? Like, what are we actually meant to do? Like, you've given ammo to the freaking Skip Bayless of Paul George, Mr. Mo Moonsey, the hoop genius, used to be on Sky Sports. But like, you've given him ammo. You've given him ammo. Like, I would love to bring him on. Mo, if you're watching this video, first of all, we're trying to overtake him in subscribers. He's got 11.3k. We're about 7k off. Let's see if we can help to do that. But if you want to go on a Paul George rant, I'll gladly put you on here for a Paul George rant. I think if you can go toe to toe with me in a Paul George rant, you know what? I'm good with it. But like, this guy is out here saying on the podcast as well, we really got to step up. McCain can't be our most consistent player. And that phrase, anyone knows what he means by that. Basically, like, to the other vets, man, we can't be letting a rookie outplay us. But don't say it out loud. We all know what that means. We've all seen it, like, when we're playing in anything in life. It could be pickup, it could be anything, where there's a bunch of players, and the guy who is considered to be maybe the worst player on the team is carrying, and you just go to someone else in your team is like, man, we can't let him carry us. Come on. It's like, we can't let him be the one destroying us. Or even on the opposite team, it's like, oh, we can't let him do it. Like, I get what he's saying. You don't broadcast it. While your team is in a downfall. They might actually be winning today. Are they winning today? I think they might be winning today. And again, obviously, oh, nope. The Brooklyn Nets are back in this game. The Nets are back in this game. And they've got, like, freaking Ben Simmonsing with 0 made field goal attempts. And by the way, Ben Simmons just did this in a game. I'm not joking. Ben Simmons just did this in an NBA basketball game. Let me just full court. I've got a full court this crap. Or not full court, full screen this crap. Like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen an NBA player do. Like, forget about the passed up layup. This is why he passed up the layup against Trae Young. This is what he does. This is why he passed up the layup. Like, we just saw Ben Simmons did. And still, the Brooklyn Nets, who were down 9 points at this point in the game, are now back in this game. So your team is a disaster. Your only player that's doing anything is Jared McCain, who, again, has got 9 points in the first half, so he's still probably going to drop close to 20. Yabusele is playing center. Like, you've got Yabusele, who was playing in Europe last year, playing center. You've got Drummond as your backup center. And you're about to lose to the Brooklyn Nets in the NBA Cup. But yeah, you're going to go on your podcast. Basically discussing more than what should be discussed about your team. But that's the problem with this all. Is these player podcasts when they're still playing. If you're not winning, just turn off the mic. Could you imagine Kobe Bryant? Let's just say there's a hypothetical situation where all the technology we have now, we had in 2006. Could you imagine if Kobe Bryant, after all those games in 2006 and 2007, and was it 04 or 05 didn't even make the playoffs? And I'm not sure they made the playoffs in 07. But if he whipped out his Blue Yeti mic, took his, like, it's Kobe. You don't know. Took maybe a DSLR or the Elgato face cam or something like that. Set up his lights and then went on a tirade about Mush Parker, or started calling people out. No, I don't think he would do that because he'd be trying to win. He'd be trying to win, and I get it. I understand. I fully understand when you're Paul George. You're trying to get into the media after the NBA. You're trying to set up this podcast. Man, you are too early in your career to be doing this. And by that, I mean, you've got 3 to 4 good years left. You are Paul freaking George. You are a big enough name that if you started your podcast the day you finished your career, you would be pulling in the exact same amount of views per episode as you are right now. The difference is that you wouldn't have the backlog and catalog of videos to grow the following, so your following number would be less, but per episode you'd be pulling in the exact same amount. The only problem is now is that, like, and that's what people don't realize. They're like, oh, let me start the podcast if I'm doing this while I'm a player. Man, you're Paul George. If you're a star, just do it anyway. But the problem is that we're going to see with these players, Paul George is not as interesting as Jeff Teague. As much as he's psychotic at times, he's not as interesting as Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas, you don't know what he's going to say. And that's the thing when you watch Gilbert Arenas' podcast, like, he could say anything. He could say absolutely anything at any given moment. He could go on a racist rant about Nigeria for all, like, out of nowhere, or South Sudan. Like, he could genuinely do anything at any time, which is why people will watch that. Rashad McCants could say anything. Rashad McCants could go from saying, like, legitimate, like, perfect basketball takes to the wildest thing you've ever heard, which is why people watch Gil's Arena. For Paul George, it's just an NBA player who's on a team that sucks right now, and the only relevant thing right now when it comes to him talking through the season is how much this team sucks. And we have now got a freaking podcaster who could potentially be podcasting the downfall of what was expected to be at least a conference finals team. What are we doing? Tell me, what are we doing? Like, man, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose my freaking mind with this Philadelphia 76ers team. And you know what? Like, if you guys want to be here for it all, if you guys want to see the highs, the lows, if you guys want to see everything, if you guys want to watch an Irishman slowly, and I repeat, very, very slowly, descend towards complete insanity, subscribe to the channel. But anyway, yeah, that is, like, Paul, just don't run the podcast while you are 2-12. Take a week off. You are Paul George. You are making $50 million this year. Taking a week or two off the podcast makes no difference. But the last thing you should do is say stuff about your teammates that may not be a positive light. Even though this is not a negative point on Jared McCain, it is a negative point realistically on you and Embiid. The fact is that it could be taken out of context and look like you shitting on the best player on your team, who happens to be a rookie. The only player who's not seemingly involved in this drama because man just wants to do TikTok dances. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Man, you know what? I think I should be standing up for these videos a little bit more. I think I'm going to lose. I genuinely think from all the pacing around during these videos that I'll be doing, I might lose a ton of weight over the year for this. And you better believe after, I probably need that. I probably do need to lose 20 pounds. So yeah, probably a good idea to keep standing.